And there's the DEI press secretary telling you that the DEI vice president is the future of the party here. And so the future looks kind of dim for the Democrats here, but this is no shocker either. Kamala Harris, she's the original Hawk Tuah girl. That's the way she got where she is. And the party's going downhill if it's in her hands.
That was tough. That was harsh.
Four disconnected racists walk into a Fox News studio and think they just landed a devastating shot on VP Harris. MAGA conservatives really think obscenely nasty racism is the key to victory. That's on this watch list.
The problem with Kamala Harris, number one, she has not had her record exploited heavily because people thought and marginalized her. Even in the Democratic Party, they said, wow, what a bad choice Joe Biden made. Number two is she hasn't sat down for an interview. When she sits down in an interview and says, do you want to fund ICE? Where do you stand on Medicare for all? Why didn't you show up? The most recent decision, already you got a question. She will not show up for the Prime Minister's joint session of Congress today. She'd rather address in the summer a sorority, a college sorority, like she can't get out of that. So that's her decision.
Vice President Harris is suddenly front and center as the presumptive nominee for president. And conservatives from social media to cable news can't seem to find anything to dispute about her that doesn't include how racist and misogynistic that they are. They can't even hide it for the sake of fooling people.
This is what she's doing. She's going after you this way. Watch.
Before I was elected vice president, before I was elected United States Senator, I was elected Attorney General of the state of California, and I was a courtroom prosecutor before then. I took on perpetrators of all kinds. Predators who abused women, fraudsters who ripped off consumers, cheaters who broke the rules for their own gain. So hear me when I say, I know Donald Trump's type. And in this campaign, I promise you, I will proudly put my record against his any day of the week.
There's the attack. What's the retort?
Well, I think it's disgusting, and I get a kick out of one thing. They say, sir, be nice. You just got hit with a bullet. Maybe he's changed. Be nice. And I'd love to be nice, but I'm dealing against real garbage when you hear that.
Good to know that when the former president is challenged on his factual run-ins with the law versus Harris's background as a prosecutor, his only defense is that she's garbage. I guess that explains why he's lost every case that he's faced, forcing him to lean on loyalist judges to delay the consequences for his actions. They've been pushing this strategy of vicious racism for about a week, and they still don't understand that it's only making them look worse.
And, of course, her whole history is DEI, diversity, exclusion, and equity. I mean, inclusion and equity.
Okay, pause for a second. Even Larry Kudlow's inept attempt at making a point in characterizing DEI as diversity, exclusion, and equity doesn't even land after he gets the order of words mixed up in purposely replacing inclusion with exclusion. They even fail at being competent racists.
And, of course, her whole history is DEI, diversity, exclusion, and equity. I mean, inclusion and equity. I mean, what does that tell you? It's totally woke and it's anti-cops, among all the other things, putting the economics aside. More DEI, defund the police, eliminate ICE, never even talk to the chiefs of the Border Patrol. I mean, really? How's she going to stand up to that?
Well, she's for globalization. She's for one world government. She's for this country going the way of socialism, maybe even farther than that. There's no way the American people are going to go for that. They're going to have to do a great selling job, and she's going to have to change her tune, but she's not able to do that. She is from California. She believes in that nonsense that they've put that great state of California in, and we've seen what's happened there. They have put them under. We bailed them out several times from the federal government.
You know how red states like Alabama always have to bail California out of financial ruin, when in the reality that Tommy Tuberville avoids, most higher tax blue states send more money to Washington than they get back in federal spending. And most low tax red states make a profit from the federal government's system of taxing and spending. But again, reality doesn't mean much to divisive liars that call Californians trash. but whine and cry when anyone points out their flaws.
Which is interesting, given that when she was running for president and then picked as VP in 2020, the Trump campaign actually went after her for being too tough on crime when she was attorney general and she worked in law enforcement inside California.
Well, there's many cases in which Kamala Harris has been extremely weak on crime. As I mentioned earlier, she refused to seek the death penalty for a cop killer. She let thousands of violent felons go. In the Senate, she promoted efforts, for instance, to eliminate the cash bail system, which many cities have done and had huge spikes in crime. Remember, in the summer of 2020, she posted a fundraiser to help bail out the BLM rioters who torched Minneapolis. That's Kamala Harris's record, a failed San Francisco liberal that's wrong for America.
Again, you've repeated that phrase several times. Clearly, that's something that you wanted to get out there today.
That's what Kamala Harris did in 2020. It's what she's continued to do to this very day. You could still contribute money to their bail fund up to this very morning because Kamala Harris is soft on crime. She is a failed San Francisco liberal.
San Francisco liberal. We heard you say that many, many times this morning. Senator Tom Cotton from Arkansas, thank you.
I guess John Berman was tired of listening to Tom Cotton repeat the same prepared talking point like a robot without really answering any questions. There's not even the usual veil of authenticity that politicians try to present to voters now that they're facing off with a black woman on the national stage. Their extreme levels of cockiness tells them that the combination of being black and a woman are automatically disqualifying. And they don't even try to appeal to voters.
My instruction, we don't need the votes. I have so many votes. I'm in Florida now, and I drove to another location yesterday, and every house has a Trump Vance sign on it. Every single house. There's not a house that we passed that doesn't. We have the votes. What we have to
drive
do.
by Charlie Crist's house then.
I know.
Just saying.
Charlie. I think Charlie probably has one up too. If you want to know that.
He's a Republican.
But everybody has. It's amazing the spirit.
His instruction is that they don't need votes. There's so many Trump Vance signs that he drove by in Florida that this guy wants to let everyone know to stay at home. It's just as cocky as his decision to choose Vance to fully solidify their coveted misogynist and racist white male vote rather than looking to appeal to swing voters.
What I find so profoundly crazy about this, Charlie, is for literally years, I have been told that my party is the threat to democracy because, there was a riot on January the 6th at the U.S. Capitol, or because Donald Trump used constitutional means to try to challenge the results in 2020. Now, you had a bunch of Democrat billionaires get in a room with Barack Obama and Nancy Pelosi and decide that the president of the United States wasn't allowed to run again. If that isn't a threat to democracy, I don't know what is.
When your argument is that a violent mob activated onto the Capitol by the losing candidate for president isn't a threat, but Joe Biden dropping out of the race is, there's a decent chance you don't have much to run on against Harris. It leaves them wide open to clear attacks on their lack of policies that most Americans are in favor of. So for the sake of the country, it's best to just watch them promote their bigotry every day while they get picked apart on policy.
These are weird people on the other side. They want to take books away. They want to be in your exam room. That's what it comes down to. And don't, get sugarcoating this. These are weird ideas. Listen to them speak. Listen how they talk about things. Listen to how your previous guests were right. Like you said, they've told them that they shouldn't talk about race. They can't help it. It is built into their DNA because there is no plan. There's no health care plan. There's no health care plan. There's nothing to do on this. They want to take away our alliances and leave Russia to do whatever they want. Look, they are bad on foreign policy. They are bad on the environment. They certainly have no health care plan. And they keep talking about the middle class that, as I said, a robber baron real estate guy and a venture capitalist trying to tell us they understand who we are. They don't know who we are.